But the criticism continues to pour in about Cutler. Now more for the sideline demeanor than for not playing through injury, that he didn't appear animated enough or helpful enough to the two quarterbacks who replaced him. So with that, we bring in Tom Waddle, a former Bears wide receiver, now the co-host of Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN 1000 in Chicago. ESPN NFL analyst Derek Brooks, an 11-time Pro Bowl defensive end and Super Bowl champion, whose critical tweet we just showed you. And from the New Orleans Saints, Super Bowl champion Heath Evans, who just finished his 10th year as an NFL fullback. Gentlemen, welcome. So, Derek, let me start with you. In light of the MRI results, what do you feel now about your tweet?
Well, I feel plainly this, and I felt this way yesterday. Jay Cutler still had an opportunity to be involved in that ball game. Again, no one knows, at that time what a player's body is going through but that player, and that was the decision at that time. But being in that situation, you still can be involved in the ball game from helping your teammates, whether it's the backup quarterbacks that's going in the ball game, whether it's rooting your defense on in that situation. Those are the things that you are put in that situation to show, a little bit more character, about yourself, and perhaps will your team to win from the sideline, because you can't do it from a physical standpoint because you're hurt. So, again, I feel strongly about, the way what I said about the reaction to the injury, not just the injury itself, because I don't know. I'm not in his body. I know what I did when I did play through injury, but in that situation, you try to be involved in the ball game from a cheerleader standpoint, a sideline coach standpoint, and now exert some of that mental energy into the guys that's playing the game, because you cannot do it physically because you're hurt.
Heath Evans, what did Jay Cutler show you yesterday?
I think this is more a battle of perception versus reality. We obviously heard Derek say a minute ago about we don't know what Jay was feeling, but I don't think this would be an issue at all. This would be a non-issue if this was a Drew Brees or a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady, because they haven't created the stigma that surrounds Jay Cutler. He kind of tucked his tail and ran out of Denver when things got tough there. When you're challenged as a man, step up, prove Josh McDaniels wrong. So I think since then, the light that's been shed on Jay Cutler has kind of been a foul light. And I think the players around the league didn't like the response to all that. And he always just kind of has this woe is me personality. And we heard Derek again say a minute ago, just the demeanor on the sideline. A year and a half ago when I had a torn ACL during our Super Bowl run, I didn't feel like being a cheerleader. I didn't feel like being a coach on the sideline. But it's the right thing to do. It's not faking it. It's doing the responsible thing. It's doing the good teammate thing to do.
Tom Waddle, what is the reaction in Chicago now that the MRI result is public?
Well, it's a bit of a firestorm here. I mean, the city's split anyway, because there are people that are predisposed to support Jay Cutler because they see him as an immensely talented quarterback with a high ceiling. There are others who are not Jay Cutler supporters because of how he has carried himself in the past, whether it be on the sidelines or in press conferences. Those people who are bothered by the way that Jay comports himself, it's an interesting dilemma. It really is here because, there is the perception that Jay, quote-unquote, tapped out in this game. And I would just ask, did Tom Brady tap out in 2001 in the AFC title game playing against Pittsburgh, where Drew Bledsoe came in, led the Patriots to victory, and then Tom played in the Super Bowl? Did Phillip Rivers tap out back in 2008 in the playoff game against the Indianapolis Colts, where Billy Volek led the Chargers to a victory on the final drive, and then Phillip came back and played with the brace on with a torn ACL against the Patriots in the AFC title game? It's a real slippery slope to go down if you're going to try to determine whether or not a guy is capable of playing. I would just say this: Jay is not going to get the benefit of the doubt because of what perception is. And in large part, Jay has brought a lot of that on himself by the way he has handled himself at press conferences and other places.
Derek, how about that?
Well, I agree with Tom in that sense. So let's make one thing clear with me. I have relationships there in Chicago, from the management staff through the coaches to several other players. So I was in the minority, in picking Chicago to win. And because of that investment in these relationships that I have, I would have taken even a 50% Jay Cutler trying to do his best versus the alternative. And clearly the coaching staff felt the same way in terms of Todd Collins going in. The leash was very short with him. He only played 2 series, and then Caleb Haney came in the ball game to finish it out. So I just want people to understand it wasn't a matter of hating or disliking Jay Cutler. It was, to me, an emotional investment that I want to see every possible effort exerted to help these guys win that ball
Now,
game.
Jay's defenders will say, look, he's not going to do anything for a camera. That would be fake. So why, when you tore your ACL, did you say it was important to be on the sideline up and playing that cheerleader role?
Well, you know what? I don't always feel like loving my wife, but it's the right thing to do. I don't always feel like coming home from work and playing with my girls and jumping on the trampoline. There's right and there's wrong. Yes, this is Jay Cutler's personality. Yes, and that's why he's taken the heat that he's taken today. But listen, we've been taught right from wrong from the day we got out of diapers. So listen, it's about being the leader of your team. You're paid to be the best player. So if you can't play, which I'm okay with that. I've been in that position before. But step up, do the right things, do what you're being asked to do what's expected of you.